Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is 24K signing in. I think tomorrow in the NFL is going to be an epic and very exciting day. Last regular season game, week 17. Can't get any better than that. There's only a few meaningless games. So I'm going to go through my predictions here. The Browns are at the Steelers. This is only barely a relevant game because the Steelers need a miracle here. They need a win, and then they need the Ravens, Chargers, and Dolphins all to lose. So that's an extremely unlikely scenario. I think the Steelers beat the Browns, but I don't think the Steelers are making it to the playoffs this year. It would be amazing. Redskins and Giants, meaningless game, but I'm going to go with the Giants. The Giants have had a pathetic season this year, so have the Redskins, actually. Slightly more pathetic, but I'm going with the Giants. Ravens and Bengals. That's going to be one of the very interesting games this tomorrow because you got the Ravens, their season's on the line, and they control their own destiny. If they win, they're in the playoffs. But the Bengals are playing for seeding, so the Bengals are playing for something. Plus, the game's in Cincinnati. The Bengals are a tough team. Andy Dalton's a pretty good QB. I think he's a little underrated. You don't really hear them talk much about the Bengals. So I think it's going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be a close game, but I'm going to give the edge to the Bengals. I think the Bengals are going to win. The Texans at Titans? Meaningless game. I'm going with the Titans. The Texans had high expectations going into the season. A lot of people were picking them to even make the Super Bowl, but I don't know what happened to them. They only won a few games. Jags at Colts. Andrew Luck's a good QB, but he's had a really inconsistent season along with the Colts. Overall, the Colts have been better than worse, but I don't see them making it very far into the playoffs. And the Jaguars, they've had a horrible season, but what the hell? I'm going to pick an upset. I'm going to pick the Jags over the Colts. Jets at Dolphins. Even though the Dolphins are coming off a bad loss against the Bills, they just got shut out 19-0, and then before that they had a great win against the Patriots. I think they're going to edge out a win against the Jets. I think the Jets are going to put up a good fight. I think it's going to be a close game, but I'm going to give the edge to the Dolphins. And the Dolphins are playing for their playoff chances as well. The Jets aren't going anywhere. The Jets have had a weird season because they didn't really have any expectations. They had low expectations going into the season, but the Jets somehow pull out the win. They'll finish 500. So, but they're still not going anywhere. Lions at Vikings, meaningless game. The Vikings are a bad team, aside from Adrian Peterson and Jared Allen. Adrian Peterson's a great player, but he can't do it all on his own. He's no Superman. He's a great running back, and again, the Vikings. I think the Vikings are going to actually beat the Lions because right now the Lions are in disarray. They've stumbled the past few weeks, and if they if there was going to be a time for the Lions to win the division, this would be the season because both the Packers and Bears, Cutler and Rodgers, had injuries this season, but they couldn't capitalize. And surprisingly, the Giants beat the Lions last week and essentially knocked them out of playoff contention. So I'm going to pick the Vikings. Panthers at Falcons. Now, the Falcons, they had high expectations as well going into the season, but they've had a really bad season. I don't know what happened to them. And the Panthers, surprisingly, they've had a very good season, and they're playing for seeding. I think the Panthers are going to beat the Falcons. They're playing in Atlanta. I think Atlanta is going to put up a good fight, but I'm going to give the edge to the Panthers. Buccaneers at Saints. Buccaneers are overall a pretty bad team, but they do have a little hope with Mike Glennon. I think he has potential to be a good QB, but we need to see more of him to make a more concrete judgment on him. He's only played in a few games, but he looks promising. But they're playing in New Orleans. That's one of the toughest places to play. Drew Brees is a great QB. The Saints are a good team, and Brees has had a great career. I'm picking the Saints at least by 10 points. Bills at Patriots. Even though the Bills are coming off a good win against the Dolphins, shutting them out 19-0, they're playing in New England. I can't remember the last time in recent memory the Bills beat the Patriots. And yes, the Patriots have injuries. But excuse me. But they do have Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots beat the Bills by 2 touchdowns or more. And I don't think they're going to make it to the Super Bowl this year because of all the injuries that they've had, but you can never completely count them out. You can't. The Rams at Seahawks. The Rams, they're showing signs of improvement. They could be better next year, but they're not going anywhere. And they're at Seattle. That's another tough place for any team to win. And the Seahawks are one of the best teams right now, and I think most people are picking the Seahawks to make it to the Super Bowl and possibly even win it. Yeah, I'm picking the Seahawks over the Rams. I wouldn't be surprised if they won by 14 or more. Packers at Bears. That's going to be a very interesting game because both teams are fighting for the division. Both teams have their season on the line. Simple as this. Win and you're in, lose and go home. Now, Aaron Rodgers is coming off a major injury, so it will be interesting to see how he's affected. I don't think he'll be 100%, and he might be a little tense and tentative. That being said, Cutler's also coming off a major injury too. Yeah, he's played a couple extra games than Rodgers, but still, he might be a little tentative himself. And plus, the Bears just got their butts kicked by the Eagles last week, and they looked pathetic. So, one thing that they have going for them is that they're playing in Chicago. All that being said, I'm going to give the slight edge to the Packers. I think the Packers are going to find a way to pull this out, and the Packers are going to win a very close game. It's going to be a close game, an interesting game. 49ers at Cardinals. Both very good teams, and the 49ers are already in the playoffs. They're playing for seeding. The Cardinals, surprisingly, are on the outside looking in with the record of 10-5, and even if the Cardinals beat the 49ers, they're not guaranteed to make the playoffs because you also have the Seahawks in that division. And that's a very tough division. And the Cardinals need a win, and they need the Saints to lose, which is unlikely. So they would be the second team in NFL history to be 11-5 and not make the playoffs. And I think that would be a shame, but I guess that's how the system's set up. It's unlikely for that to happen for a team to miss the playoffs, to have that good of a record and miss the playoffs, but it can happen. I think about 5 years ago, the Patriots were in a similar situation and they missed the playoffs. So I think the Cardinals are actually going to beat the 49ers. I think it's going to be a close game. Carson Palmer has had a resurgence. He's had a great season turning this team around. Kaepernick is a very good QB as well. I think it's going to be a close game. I'm going to say the Cardinals, though, by a touchdown. Broncos at Raiders. Peyton Manning, he's Peyton Manning. He's amazing. Probably the best player that we've seen in our lifetime. It's not perfect. No one's perfect, but he's awesome. I say I wouldn't be surprised if the Broncos win by 14 or more against the Raiders. The Raiders might try to put up a good fight, but they're not going to win, I don't think. They're playing in Oakland, even though they're playing in Oakland. Picking the Broncos. Chiefs at Chargers. That's another interesting game. The Chiefs actually have their seed locked up, and the Chargers, they're fighting for their playoff lives. So, what does this mean for the Chargers? The Chiefs aren't going to have their regular starters in. That's good news for the Chargers. They're playing in San Diego. They have a golden opportunity to win this game, and I think they should. I wouldn't be surprised if they won by 10 points or more, even though the Chiefs have a pretty good defense. All that being said, they need help. They need the Ravens to lose, which is very possible, but they also need the Dolphins to lose, and it could happen, but I think it's unlikely for the Jets to beat the Dolphins, even though the Jets may put up a good fight, as I said earlier. So I think the Chargers just missed the playoffs, but you never know. They could sneak in. And then the Sunday night game is one of the most exciting games of the day as well, in my opinion. Now, I'm a Giants fan. I don't like either team. I don't like the Eagles or Cowboys, but putting my bias aside, I think the Eagles are going to come out on top. I give the slight edge to them, even though they're playing in Dallas. The Cowboys don't have Romo. And yes, Romo's not a great QB, but he's good, and he just makes bad mistakes at the worst possible times in games. And Romo is one of the main reasons why they're in a position that they are in to get into the playoffs. But it's a shame that he's hurt. But they do have a solid backup in Kyle Orton. The problem is Kyle Orton hasn't started a game in 2 years, and he might be a little rusty. And plus, this game is a huge pressure-filled game. So add all those factors, and yeah, I don't think the Cowboys are going to win, even though Orton has had a decent career and he's a solid backup. I think it's going to be a close game. Both teams don't really have much of a defense, so most likely it's going to be a high-scoring game. But I'm going to give the slight edge to the Eagles. I'm going to say the Eagles win by a field goal. So let me know what you think of my predictions here. Let me know if you agree, disagree, agree with some of my predictions, disagree with some. Let me know what you think is going to happen. Let me know what you think, what team's going to make it to the Super Bowl, or obviously teams, two teams. And be on the lookout for future videos. I'm going to make a playoff prediction video next week. Be on the lookout for that. And feel free to follow me on Twitter. My Twitter account is AlexGold14, and I'm going to post that below, a link to my Twitter in the section below my video here. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm really looking forward to this epic, exciting Sunday.